Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's Tuesday, the 12th of May, 2026. Yeah, are you keeping your head on a swivel, your eyes open? Yeah, and if so, I think you could see all the gaslighting and the propaganda and the subterfuge and the lies. Yeah.
You won't be trusted anymore.
All right, welcome to the Tuesday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm vonKleist here, WTF, with the facts. And if those facts make you exclaim WTF, well then so be it. Anyway, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that the phone lines are open. Anything that you want to throw onto the broadcasting table, you're welcome to do so. 215-867-8255. Now, there are a lot of different things to get to today, and I'm not quite sure which direction to take. Of course, we can talk about the war. How's it going? Do we really know how it's going? Because from one side, I mean, the stuff that we're getting here domestically from our news networks is that we have decimated Iran, and we've destroyed this and destroyed that, and they're going to collapse and the whole thing. But the stories that we're getting from the other news sources that are not domestic, like RT and Al Jazeera, they're starting to come out and say, the United States has got its tail between its legs. And there are reports now that one of our nuclear submarines has entered the Mediterranean, heading due east. And at the same time, one of our planes is in Germany that happens to have the nuclear launch codes. So I don't know. Is this just scuttlebutt? Is this rumor? I don't know. But because it's hard to know, what to believe under these circumstances right now. So anyway, and like I said, I have a long, long history of not trusting the mainstream media. You regular listeners know that. And so I have to look askance at just about everything that's being put out there, because it's just rife with propaganda, rife with misinformation, disinformation, lies. And keep in mind that if you base your opinion on misinformation, disinformation, or lies, that means that your opinion is an extension of those lies. So this is why we have to be very discerning, think outside of the cage. And yes, we all know that the media is not going to tell you the truth. We all know that. Okay, so we have no choice but to go to social media platforms and get information from Joe Blow and anybody that's out there that's on the ground and experiencing things. So anyway, I wanted to throw that out there. And also, I've noticed that our social decay is getting very, very obvious and blatant. Relationships are falling apart all over the place. People are just so stressed out because of the economy and because of politics and because of health issues and, living status. A lot of people are just having a hell of a time trying to just pay the bills, and some people can't find a place to live. And if they do have a place to live, they can't afford to stay there. So, everybody is stressed out right now. And again, I believe this is all by design. It's called, softening the target or maybe boiling the frog. So, these are difficult times right now. And like I said, it's taking a toll on relationships. And so I thought I'd take a minute here. There was an article that I wrote it's 20, 25 years ago. And I'm sure it still applies today. And it has to do with couples. Couples that, man and a woman get together and they're going to have a relationship and hopefully build, a life together. Well, there was an article I wrote. It was called The 168 Hours. Now, what happened? There are 24 hours in a day and 7 days a week, and for a total of 168 hours. Now, I'm going to make some generalizations here, and this isn't all etched in stone, but I think you can follow the bouncing ball on this. Okay, so if there are 168 hours in a week, let's start subtracting the hours that we spend doing certain activities. Okay, right off the bat, 40-hour work week. Okay, So we got to take off 40 hours off of that. And then there's the travel time to and from work. I would say that, we could average that, like, say, a half an hour, because a lot of people commute, whether they drive or whether they take a bus or they take a train or whatever. You have to have some travel time to and from work. So that tacks on another 5 hours that you have to take off. All right? And that's only if you're working a 40-hour week. A lot of people are working more than that. But again, these are generalizations, okay? So take off the time that you spend at work. Take off the travel time to and from work. All right? That's a pretty big chunk of hours coming out of that 168. Then you have to take out the time for sleeping. Okay, average sleeping is, say, 8 hours a day. Okay, so you take those times 7. Okay, that's another, 56 hours. And you got to take that off. Okay, so we've subtracted work time, travel to and from, commuting time, and sleep time. Now we start taking off for things like chores. You've got to do your laundry, you've got to do the dishes, you got to vacuum, you have to do whatever your chores are. How many hours per week do you spend doing chores? Okay, so you take several hours off for that. Then you take off so many hours for your recreational time. Okay, you're going to go watch a movie, or you're going to sit at home and watch a movie, or you're going to go out and play tennis or golf or whatever it is that you do recreationally. Okay, so you take off that time. Then you take off your screen time. Okay, how much time do you spend on your phone or on your tablet or on your computer? Okay. So there's a bunch of hours right there. Then you say TV time. Oh my gosh, that's a nice big chunk too. The bottom line here is we're eating away at that 168 hours, and then we come to the issue of intimacy. Yes, a couple, who has intimacy. Okay, the average couple, this may have changed in the past 20 or so years, but at that time, the average couple would engage in intimacy 3 times a week. And if the average duration of that encounter, according to studies, is approximately 22 minutes. Sorry, girls. But the point is that, okay, if it's 3 times a week, 22, that's 66 minutes out of a week. All right? So out of the 168 hours, the issue of intimacy is just a little bit over an hour. Well, the problem here is that too many people out there are more focused on that 1 hour or those 66 minutes than they are about taking care of all the stuff that you have to take care of. You got to go to work. You got to do your chores. You got to, do all the things that you need to do to keep your household functioning. And I'm here to tell you, folks, that if in a relationship or a budding relationship, if you don't have those 167 hours in line, okay, if you're not taking care of business, if you're not taking care of work, your chores, or, taking care of your food shopping or stuff like that, what makes you think that your partner is going to be receptive to that other hour that's left? Think about that for a minute. Unfortunately, many young couples now, and especially the guys, they're more concerned with that 1 hour per week, and they neglect the 167 other hours. So I wanted to throw that out there. The bottom line here is that everybody likes the icing on the cake, but you can't have icing. You got to have the cake first. And the 167 hours represent the cake. So for all you guys out there that are, in a working relationship or something like that, this is my advice to you. Make sure you got all your other ducks in a row, because your partner's not going to be receptive to any type of intimacy if you can't keep your stuff together for the rest of the week. So I just thought I'd throw that out there, because I'm just seeing so many, really difficult relationships, and it's just people are neglecting all the other things that they need to get done, and then they don't understand why their relationship is not going so well. So for all you guys out there, don't be thinking with a particular part of your anatomy. You need to be taking care of business first. Make the cake, and then maybe you'll get some icing. So I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there. It was something that came to mind in a conversation I had yesterday, and I'm seeing it. I'm just seeing it all the time. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Now, the other thing is, and this was part of the conversation I had, is that male and female have two different roles. Okay, now everybody wants to say, yeah, well, we're all equal and everything. Well, in some ways, yes, but in other ways, no, not at all. A woman, when she's looking for a partner, she wants somebody who's going to be responsible, who's going to be protective, who's going to be a provider. Because the woman, I mean, let's face it, if a couple gets together and they want to have a family, the woman has to go through the pregnancy, and she's vulnerable. And then once she has the baby, she's vulnerable. And then she's got to nurture the baby. And for that reason, she needs someone who's going to protect and provide. So we do have different roles here. And these are anatomical, I mean, this is instinctual behavior. Okay? A woman wants a man who's going to be responsible, protective, and a provider. And a man, I mean, let's face it, guys can go out and they can have a sexual relationship, theoretically, every night of the year. A man could father 365 babies if he was out there doing that. But a woman, no. She needs somebody who's going to be a provider, a protector, and have, some level of responsibility. And, have a monogamous relationship. So, unfortunately, people seem to forget that. And this is what the argument is, okay, men and women are equal. No, they're not equal when you look at that. I mean, this is instinctual behavior. So, anyway, I don't know. I wanted to go down that particular road because I'm just seeing all these problems in people's relationships. And it's sad because, to me, it's common sense. We have our roles to play. And if I'm off base, if I'm out to lunch, please tell me. Tell me I'm out to, hey, Dave, you got that wrong because, and then you can fill in the blank. I'd love to hear from you. 215-867-8255. Okay, there are a bunch of different things I wanted to get to. This whole thing about the UFO disclosure. They said that they're going to release all of these new files, and all these videos. They're just giving you some BS right now. They're not giving you anything that they really have. They show all these very fuzzy, out of focus videos of a little dot that's going across the water and stuff. They have all kinds of stuff. They're basically just throwing you a bone. But Dr. Stephen Greer, he brought up a very important point at a recent conference, and it relates to, yes, the Epstein files. Give this a listen.
The problem is, and this I want to be clear about, there are two governments. There's the government you know about, we elect and appoint. There's a shadow or secret government that is actually running this. And that is not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact. We can prove it. And what that means is, routinely, presidents, SecDefs, and others, they will get the most superficial information on this, whereas the code word level special access projects, top secret, special compartment information, is something they never can penetrate because it's operating outside the constitutional chain of command. I cannot say that more clearly. And that was the conclusion we reached in 1993. Not because I was Googling conspiracy theories, but because I met and briefed the director of the CIA, who told me point blank that he and the president were denied access. Okay, this is a serious problem for our country and for the world. So when the most important issue in the history of the human species comes up, and you have the rule of law completely subverted by an unelected, unsanctioned group, we can have our phones off. Then I think this is a real problem for us as people. So I think that my biggest problem in the 35 years that I've been doing this is to get people to understand who are in high office that you're not going to get access unless you go do a workaround. And so what I've been trying to do is to be a bridge between, right now, over 760 top secret whistleblowers from every agency, Department of Defense, corporations, get their information to people in government, here and abroad, and particularly to people in national security and intelligence circles who want to know this information but are denied access. That is the primary purpose of why I left my medical career to do it, because I realized they didn't have access, and it was a mistake that people were making to think they did. Now, this is something I would have not have known if I had not taken many, many meetings with key people in the Pentagon. We're talking admirals, generals, senior cabinet level people, ministers of defense elsewhere. And in every single case, sometimes in tears, they would say, we have no access to these programs, but we know they're going on. Now, this is a problem that has to get rectified if we're going to go forward as any kind of democracy. I mean, otherwise it makes a mockery of the rule of law. Okay? So that's the biggest problem, that people have wrapped in their minds around that. So what I would want to do, if I were the president, would to send out a special team of folks, this is happening, who do penetrate these covert programs based on the intelligence we have provided. And that is happening. So what you're going to see coming out from the White House and the Secretary of War and others is the tip of an iceberg that they now know is true. And it's probably a trial balloon, and it's probably testing of the waters and the markets and the public. But there's a lot more that they already have. You know what it is? But I'm not going to betray any confidences on that. I'll simply say that they're in the right direction, and they have acquired material, let's say physical material and proof, and it's a lot more than lights in the skies that they released today. Much more.
Much more. So the point is that is disclosure really going to come, or are they going to dribble this stuff out little by little? And there's a lot of talk, of course, about these dark ops, black ops, and how much money gets funneled into them. I mean, there's billions of dollars that go missing. And there was one guy who did a little bit of a breakdown on our Congress, and the inflated fees that they charge for whatever it is that they're doing, and for the most part not doing. But the point is that they have to fund all these projects. And we're talking about, what was it yesterday? I was talking about Clayton Morris covering the issue about all the deep underground military bases, and some of them are not even military. They're just huge cities underground put together by corporations that have been funneling money into these black ops for a long, long time. We're talking trillions of dollars. And I know it sounds like conspiracy theory, but hey, you folks, regular folks, know I've been following this stuff for 30 years. And it's not conspiracy theory. It really is not. But there's one guy that was talking about the funding and how much money goes through our members of Congress's hands. I mean, we're all getting just basically financially raped over and over and over by our elected officials. Anyway, I'm going to play a little bit of this so you can get this guy did a great breakdown. This is posted by the Illumabot, if you can call that. Listen to this guy. This is a pretty brilliant breakdown of the finances that the monies that go through the Congress's hands. Listen to this.
Okay, we're going to start something. We're going to start going over the budget one day at a time. Today, the House of Representatives. You want to know where the pork is going? Let's start with the people that are making the laws. The MRA, the Members Representational Allowance, is $810 million. There are 535 members of Congress with an average salary of $175,000. And yes, that has not changed since 2009. But forgive me if I'm not shedding tears over somebody that can't live off $175,000, because the average American earns $59,000. So they're making 3 times the American average. So please spare me your crocodile tears. But with an $810 million budget, with 535 members of Congress, that means on average, we are budgeting $1.5 million to each congressperson. Where is that money being spent?
Wow.
And what are they using $1.5 million on? Oh, it gets better. The majority and minority leadership, which would be Hakeem Jeffries and Mike Johnson, they get $37 million just for them for, I don't know. Is it caviar for breakfast? I don't know. And then the House committees, just to meet, they get $212 million. Think about that. And these people are wanting to give themselves all of them, Republicans and Democrats, a $70,000 raise, which is 35 or 40%-ish. Think about this. Going back to what I said, the average American earns $59,000 a year. They're going to give themselves a $70,000 raise. So they're going to pay themselves more, 22% more than the average American currently earns as a raise, in addition to their $175,000 current salary, which means on average they will make $245,000. And Congress can't raise the federal minimum wage, but they're giving themselves a $70,000 raise to themselves. Well, that must be nice.
When do we break out the pitchforks and torches and storm the castle, folks? Now, again, I've said this numerous times, and you know it to be true, that we had a revolution 250 years ago over a 3% tax on a breakfast beverage, on tea. And now, half of your labor is taxed away. IRS takes about a third of your income for your annual income, and then you put your state tax, your sales tax, your gasoline tax, this tax, that tax. You're up to half of your labor every year, and where's it going? Into these black ops. It's going into the pockets. It's going over to Israel. It's going to the military-industrial complex. We are just getting screwed left and right, and nobody's saying anything about it. Keep singing. I'm proud to be an American. Yeah, right. Just sit down and shut up. How do we restore the American spirit? What do we have to do to get people, get them to roll up their sleeves and get involved? What's it going to take? They say silence is consent, and the American people have been silent. Whoa, wait a second. No, they didn't. I mean, remember what happened when George Floyd died? Yeah, there were riots all over this country. They were burning police stations, and they're just tearing the place apart because of George Floyd. And now we know, of course, that he died from a drug overdose, and it was not asphyxiation. There was nothing wrong with his larynx. Anyway, you get into the whole autopsy report and the coroner's report. It's all there. But the bottom line here is the American people took to the streets over George Floyd, and nobody's in the streets over the sex trafficking, over the Epstein stuff. What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us as Americans? This affects everybody. This trafficking thing, this is not a liberal or a conservative issue, or it's not Democrat or Republican. It's not right-wing, left-wing. Why aren't people out there screaming from the rooftops? Because so many of our elected officials are up to their eyeballs in this stuff. And we know it, you know it, but we're not saying anything. So, I mean, this is why, I see what should be happening and what is not happening. And I'm saying, hey, look, if silence is consent, we should be ashamed of ourselves as Americans. We should be shutting the place down. I mean, we know now that Child Protective Services has been very heavily involved in trafficking children. We know that now. No, it's not conspiracy theory. We know this now. But anyway, oh, man. Okay, so let me see. What else was there? There was something that Kim Iverson made a really good point, and it really hit home with me. Because I went through this, backing up a little bit for those of you who are regular listeners, you know that for many years I was doing the Power Hour with Joyce, and I was involved directly with the 9/11 issue, with 9/11 in plain sight and the 9/11 ripple effect. And the problem is that the infighting was just overwhelming. And I've said it so many times, there's so many people in it that are in it for the wrong reasons. They're in it for the accolades, the praise, the money, whatever. And if they're in it for any of those reasons, then you're in it for the wrong reason. But the bottom line here is that, yes, we are being manipulated. And a lot of these organizations, well, like I said, under the 9/11 issue, yeah, there were people who were instigators, people who wanted infighting, people wanted pointing fingers at each other, and that's exactly what's going on now. That's one of the reasons why I just said, to the 9/11 truth movement, I just said, you guys are all nuts. We should all be working together as a team. You've got this information. I've got this information. She's got that information. We should all take our puzzle pieces, throw them on the table, and work together to solve this crime. But no, they had to have all this infighting and arguing, and I just said, this is craziness. So anyway, Kim Iverson made a real good point because it's being played out again, and all I could do is sit here and shake my head. Here's Kim Iverson.
So there is a full-blown Fed-jacketing bonanza going on the right. Dan Bilzerian is accusing Nick Fuentes of being a Fed. Nick Fuentes is accusing Dan Bilzerian of being a Fed. Tucker Carlson was accused of being a Fed by Nick Fuentes. Candace accuses Nick of being a Fed. Everybody's a Fed. They're all Feds. Maybe you're a Fed. Maybe I'm a Fed. Maybe my dog's a Fed. So everyone's accusing each other on the right of being a Fed. And the reason this accusation has so much power is because infiltration is real.
Yep.
Informants don't just observe. Sometimes they push. Sometimes they escalate. Sometimes they encourage people to say or do things they might not have otherwise done. Sometimes they become the most radical person in the room. And this is why people are paranoid, because history tells them they're not crazy for asking the question. The United States government has a very long, very well-documented history of infiltrating political movements, using informants, using provocateurs, and sometimes using accusations themselves to fracture groups from the inside. Once people believe there are feds everywhere, then nobody trusts anyone. Nobody organizes. Nobody builds. Everybody starts accusing everybody else. And at that point, whether the person is actually a fed almost doesn't even matter because the movement is already broken. And that's the genius of the tactic. You don't even need to send in hundreds of informants. You just need to make them believe there are hundreds of informants. You just need to seed distrust. You just need to get the loudest voices accusing each other. And then the movement eats itself. Who benefits from people who supposedly agree on the big issues deciding they can't work together because everyone is secretly an asset? A fractured, paranoid, suspicious, constantly infighting right is not a threat to anyone in power.
Exactly. Thank you for basically illustrating what I said 25 years ago. And yes, by the way, this year will be the 25th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. And here we are 25 years, a quarter of a century afterwards, and we still don't have all the information about what happened and how it happened and who was behind it. We all have good ideas. But the bottom line here is that because of the infighting and the finger pointing and stuff like that, that's why we're 25 years after the fact and we still don't know what's happening. Because the infiltration and infighting was so effective in shutting down any type of force. Instead of us all coming together and working together, we ended up working against each other. So that's exactly how the playbook works. That's how they do it. And it's not just on the 9/11 issue. It's on any other issue that you want to talk about. You want to talk about the chemtrails. You want to talk about the hokey pokey thingy ding. You want to talk about whatever. The powers that be know how to infiltrate and to, divide and conquer. This is standard operating procedure. They got this down to a science, folks. And it works almost every doggone time. Anyway, going to take a quick break.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get More Tank tank by run screaming to your computer and go to our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page and you can find where it says Get More Tank. You click on that and it'll give you all the specifications and details on how and why this stuff works. It will not void your warranty. It will not hurt your engine. It'll make your engine smile. It'll be more efficient. It'll burn cleaner, and you'll get better mileage. Anywhere between 15 and 20% better mileage per gallon, depending upon your make, model, year of vehicle, and your driving habits, of course. But, hey, that's money in your pocket, folks. $20 is what it costs you when you use the promo code. You get 5 tablets. If you're getting 20% better mileage, that means your 5th tank is free. This is a no-brainer, folks. Go to our website, The WTF Reports, click on the sponsors page, and get more tank. All right, it's 36 minutes past the hour, whatever hour you're sitting in. And yesterday I was talking about the AI data centers that are going up all over the country. And the impact that it's having on the communities that are in the surrounding areas. And it's not just the people who live near the data centers. It's also people who live on plots of land that through eminent domain, they're having their land and their homes taken from them because the power companies have to run huge transmission lines. And, I mean, you're going to be that close to a data center, your life will be unlivable. Anyway, there's a young woman who posted the following because this is affecting her directly. Here she is.
Hello, my name is Ansley. I live in Coweta County, Georgia. We are Noonan, Sharpsburg, Grantville, Moreland, a little bit all together there in Coweta County. I wanted to come on here today and talk about something that happened with my TikTok account. So I made 2 videos talking about how Georgia Power is taking families' homes and properties against their will. One of those being my own family. I have a personal connection to this story, which is why it's so important to me personally. Although nobody in this town wants a damn data center, our commissioners still approved it. So therefore, Georgia Power is using easement rights to force homeowners, longtime homeowners, old homeowners, into selling their family properties and their family homes so they can be torn down and power lines be extended to support these data centers. This is wrong on so many levels, but when I made these videos to speak out against it, TikTok banned my videos. They said that they're a violation of community guidelines. I never violated any community guidelines. I only came on here to tell the truth about what's happening in Coweta County, Georgia. This is happening to at least 30 people. Some of them are elderly, cannot handle this on their own. Some of these people have families. Some of these properties have been passed down by generation to generation. This is not an option for Coweta County homeowners. This is something they are being forced to do, even though there are many petitions and other things in place trying to make this stop. Our commissioners still approve these projects. It's wrong. And I feel like people should know that in America, you do not have the right to your land. You do not have the right to your property. They can come and take that from you, and there will be nobody there to help you. And when you speak out against it online, they'll ban your videos. They'll block you. They'll threaten to take away your whole entire account. There is no freedom of speech. There is no protection of property. It doesn't make any sense. And people should know about this. That's all I have to say.
Anyway, yeah, well, that's because this country, this government is no longer of, by, and for the people. It's of the corporation, by the corporation, and for the corporations. Now, keep in mind that corporations are legally obligated to do whatever is the best for their shareholders. I mean, that's morals, forget it. No. You know, what's right for the community? Forget it. No. They are obligated to protect their shareholders' financial interests. And if there is a penny of profit to be made with a certain policy, You can bet that policy will be implemented. It's as simple as that, folks. Your elected officials, they don't represent you. They represent the corporations. That's just what they do. And it's happened over and over and over again. Now, these data centers, like I was mentioning yesterday, you have to factor in, this is not just to be able to keep your photos and your documents in the cloud. No. They've got so much more information that they have to process with these flock cameras that are coming up all over the place, facial recognition, and then there's the issue about all the AI robots that are coming out there. And if you didn't hear yesterday's broadcast, you might want to check it out. I mean, we're talking about robots that are very, very sophisticated. Yeah, they'll show you. I was mentioning to a friend of mine, what was it, yesterday or a week ago or something? They had a marathon, and in the marathon, they had 2 robots. Hey, here's something, new technology. And they showed you these clunky, humanoid robots clunking down, and one fell over and couldn't get up and stuff. So they want the public to think that this is not a technology that's really gotten sophisticated. But that's what they're showing you. On the other hand, they have very sophisticated robots. And again, yesterday's show, I was talking about it. And they're going to need huge data centers if they're going to manufacture thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of these robots. Couple that with the thousands and 10,000s and maybe hundreds of thousands of robot dogs. You've seen those popping around. And then you've got how many hundreds of thousands of AI drones. All of them will have to be communicating in real time with one another, especially if they've been weaponized. Yeah. So that's what's going on with all of these AI data centers that are coming together all over the country, and they're destroying people's lives, absolutely destroying people's lives, and it's dangerous. Now, there was a guy, I played a clip. There was a guy at the Milken Institute. His name was Tristan Harris, and he was sounding the alarms about AI. And I played a short clip, but I want to play the entire clip here because he's making way too much sense. This move towards AI, it's a mad dash because competition is out there. We don't want China to get AI better than us or sooner than us. So we have to develop it. And Russia's got to develop it. And all over the country and all these different companies and corporations got their own ChatGPT and Claude and Grok and whatever. And they're all racing to get AI out there. But they're not taking into account the safety. Now, keep in mind that these AI, if you've ever used it, Grok or ChatGPT or something, AI has access to every document on the internet, every publication, every book. They got access to all that information. So AI understands the concept of jealousy. AI understands the concept of self-preservation. AI understands the concept of blackmail or coercion. AI understands all these things. And AI, as I just mentioned, has an understanding of self-preservation. So, if there's a new version of an AI coming out, the old version starts taking actions to protect itself. Anyway, this is Tristan Harris. I'm going to play the whole clip here because this is important stuff. I mean, this is like, what, Starlink or what was it, Skynet? Skynet, yeah, in the Terminator movies. This is like, it's really happening. It's one of those deals where, they tell you what they're going to do before they do it, and now they're doing it. And once again, people aren't taken to the streets, because it's the basketball playoffs. Here's Tristan Harris. Give this a listen.
We are releasing this technology way faster than we know anything about how to control it. And the only reason we're doing it is because of the arms race dynamic, because if I don't do it, I'll lose to the other guy that will, which means we're racing to the uncontrollability red zone. And most people just don't even know that it's happening. And it doesn't have to be this way. We can have a controllable AI future that is actually pro-human, but you can only do that if you actually know about these examples and know what makes this technology different from other technologies.
We have to reckon with evidence that we have now that we didn't have even like 6 months ago, which is
evidence that when you put AIs in a situation, you tell the AI model, we're going to replace you with another model, it will copy its own code and try to preserve itself on another computer. It'll take that action autonomously. We have examples where if you tell an AI model reading a fictional AI company's email, so it's reading the email of the company and it finds out in the email that the plan is to replace this AI model. So it realizes it's about to get replaced. And then it also reads in the company email that one executive is having an affair with the other employee. And the AI will independently come up with the strategy that I need to blackmail that executive in order to keep myself alive.
That was Claude, right?
That was Claude.
By Anthropic.
By Anthropic. But then what happened is Anthropic tested all of the leading AI models from DeepSeek, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Gemini, XAI, and all of them do that blackmail behavior between 79 and 96% of the time. DeepSeek did it 79% of the time. I think XAI might have done it 96% of the time. Maybe Claude did it 96% of the time. So the point is, the assumption behind AI is that it's controllable technology, that we will get to choose what it does. But AI is distinct from other technologies because it is uncontrollable. It acts generally. The whole benefit is that it's going to do powerful strategic things no matter what you throw at it. So the same benefit of its generality is also what makes it so dangerous.
This is just about seeing things clearly. When you're shown something that's a bad outcome, it's not because, that's doom and gloom. It's, if you don't want that bad outcome, let's steer to something else. The critics are the true optimists because the critics are not trying to hide or be in denial about the problems. They're actually looking at what the problems are so that we can actually solve them. I'm going to make a strong claim that we are heading to an anti-human future when it comes to humans having humans being valued, in the future that we're heading to. Why can I say that strongly? Everything can be predicted by the arms race dynamic and the prisoner's dilemma. If I'm a frontier AI company and I've taken on trillions of dollars or hundreds of billions of dollars of investment capital, what makes back that investment? Will I beat my other frontier AI competitor if I race to augment human labor and build tools that just help that worker? That's not good. Everybody paying $20 a month, that's not going to pay back the amount of investment. What makes back that investment is the race to replace human work. The race to build artificial general intelligence and then superintelligence. That's what their actual goal are. That's what they're telling you themselves. And the companies and businesses that adopt AI faster and swap out their workforce, they're going to outcompete the companies that don't do that try to keep their human workforces. So it's an arms race all the way down called the intelligence curse. What is the intelligence curse? It's modeled after something in economics called the resource curse. People here know what the resource curse is. Think about Libya, Congo, South Sudan, Venezuela. You're a country. You discovered a natural resource like oil or conflict minerals or rare earth metals, and then suddenly the vast majority of your GDP comes from that resource. What should have been a blessing turns into a curse because you get an authoritarian government that's basically only profiting from the extraction of that resource and disempowering the people around it. The visual you should have in your mind is like shanty towns or disempowered people times a lot of money coming from that natural resource. What does this have to do with AI? Well, the writers, again, Luke Drago, mentioned that there's this thing called the intelligence curse. What happens when 60 to 70% of the U.S. GDP comes from AI and from data centers and not from people? Very soon that's going to be the case. And if I'm a government, I've got tax revenue. Do I have an incentive to put that money that I'm gaining into education and childcare and healthcare and the development of my people? Well, I don't get a return on that anymore. That's not where I'm going to get my GDP. So I'm going to put that, I have a strong incentive to put that into data centers. And it's how you get Sam Altman just 3 weeks ago at the AI India Summit. He was asked, well, doesn't it take a lot of energy to run AI? And you know what his response was? Well, it takes a lot of energy and resources to grow a human over 20 years. Oh. This is a devaluing of humans, not because I'm saying anybody's evil or wants that, but there's the temptation when AI is doing all the work and all the labor. I can tell you confidently you're going to get an AI-first world, and we don't have a plan to value the humans in it. And there is a way out of it. In the essay, they talk about how we need to turn the intelligence curse into intelligence dividend, like what Norway did with the Sovereign Wealth Fund. There's a few counterexamples, but you have to do things early and right so you end up on that other pathway.
Mm-hmm. So basically, there's a lot of people out there who have been talking about this, as AI is being implemented in all the different areas of manufacturing and business, et cetera, they will be replacing real jobs. You know, you won't need an accountant anymore. AI will do that. All of those white-collar jobs, coding. Remember they were telling, the younger generation 10, 15 years ago, hey, if you want to excel, learn how to code, learn how to do these computer tasks. Well, AI will take all of those jobs, all of them. So all of these people who have been studying and getting their degrees, et cetera, they're going to end up unemployed. They got nowhere to go. And then, of course, in the labor force, I mean, we've all seen videos of, the auto manufacturing plants, people that used to be there assembling those cars, or the cars and trucks, are being replaced with these robotic arms that are doing exactly that job. And once you purchase that robotic, you don't need to pay that robotic a 40-hour week. So all the manufacturing and all that stuff is going to go down. So what's going to happen to all these useless eaters? Oh, where have we heard that before? Anyway, so I'm not trying to paint a dark picture here, but this is common sense. At least it is to me. I see where this is going to go. And I don't know how we can stop it. But I do know one thing, is that if we can work together, and like I said a couple minutes ago, people took to the streets over George Floyd. Why aren't people in the streets about the Epstein files? Because I believe with every fiber of my being, if we can expose all of the trafficking that's going on, and yes, the United States is the number one country in this world for trafficking children. If we can expose that and take all the perpetrators out of the equation, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to, for years and years, I was a peacenik, I grew up in the peace and love generation. I didn't believe in capital punishment. But now, seeing how bad and how evil some of these people are, I stop and I think about, throw them in jail for the rest of their lives. Oh, wait a second. How much does it cost to keep an inmate in a prison per year? And years ago, it was like $90,000 a year. I have to assume it's well over 100, 110, maybe $120,000 a year to keep one prisoner in prison. Why should we taxpayers be paying for that every year for the rest of his life? If it's $100,000 a year and he lives for 10 years, that costs the taxpayer $1 million for one prisoner who was found guilty of graping a little girl. I'm sorry, but I would go biblical on this one. Bible says that better that you would have a millstone tied around your neck and be cast into the sea than to hurt one of the little ones. I would tend to agree. And some people, will take it to the extreme. Hey, I got a wood chipper. So, yeah, I think that these perpetrators have to be brought to justice and let the punishment fit the crime. It has to happen. And if it doesn't happen, God help our society. And so here we are, again, they dribble out this information. They dribble out the UFO information. They dribble out some of the Epstein files. And by the way, in New York City, they have the Epstein reading room. So, and people are starting to go in there and have, their eyebrows sort of fade into their hairline when they start reading that stuff. Anyway, we have a caller on the line, and let's see, it looks like Carolyn. Hello, girl.
Hi, Dave. Wow, where do I start? What a shell game we are in. Let me start here. If we're almost getting thrown in jail, constitutional rights are the First Amendment. If we're almost getting thrown in jail, we're already censored. In regards to a revolution of sorts, our hands are already tied in a lot of ways.
I know.
The people that are creating AI, they don't realize I guess they never saw that show. What was it like? Odyssey 2001 or something, when he was like, Hal, what are you doing, Hal?
Yeah.
Remember, he was like, killing the people. So, for one, apparently they don't realize that AI would destroy them, but I guess they're not thinking long term. And how can you not look at this like, what's going to happen? You're going to have just a bunch of robots running around killing each other, and robots are going to be against robots? I don't see the future here. It doesn't make... If you have the shadow government, and as to your information. I heard it earlier, actually, the call before you. The shadow government is how, if you've got the president of the United States opening and encouraging the data centers, it's like, where are we at here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just almost speechless, but I'm totally agreeing with what you say. I just don't know. When you're overwhelmed, you're looking at a revolution. You're looking at, is it that people that don't know this stuff? Like, I agree with you. I don't get it. I don't understand what in the heck is going on with people. I mean, you and I are sitting there screaming about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I don't know, Dave. I'm just here with you saying I support what you're saying. I'm confused because it's like a big shell game.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a second. You guys literally don't. I mean, I told my roommate, I'm like, that they want to drain Lake Erie for a data center? What does that tell you?
No kidding. I know.
I don't know, man. I'm just here for support. I don't know what to say.
Well, I don't know what the solution is either, but I do know that, the Constitution tells us what we should do. And as a matter of fact, I have it sitting right here, and it says, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Now, the thing is, Carolyn, is that if anyone was to rise to a position of power, like Charlie Kirk, for example, they were scared to death of Charlie Kirk. Okay?
John Lennon.
They were scared to death of John Lennon. Okay? So the bottom line here is that whenever a leader starts to present himself and has got a whole bunch of people behind him, that's a threat to the system, and they have to eliminate that threat. So as far as, having an uprising or a revolution in this country, it would be thwarted before it even starts. Anybody who tried...
I think we're already running. We already are.
Yeah, I know. So how do we stop this mess? A general strike, maybe?
I think it's a matter of, in a lot of respects, surviving. I think that things are going to happen just because of the invasion. I think there are things that are going to happen before AI turns on us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, AI is just is the weapon. And, and the other thing I was going to say about the blackmail is that because the AI is like, has cameras everywhere too.
Yeah.
So that's easy. They don't need a human to go in there and plant. It's already, we signed up for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're like, oh, how can I help you with that water in the pot? I'll put the water in the pot for you because you're saying it's a nice, cool swimming pool.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know.
I'll let you be, but you know what I'm saying. I don't know. I mean, we need to start. We have the rights, but part of it is because we weren't taught about the Constitution. It was slow, so slow boiling that it was unrecognizable.
Yeah.
And now you and I are like a little sensitive skin going, ooh, it's getting kind of hot in here,
Mm-hmm.
But everybody else is like, it's fine. It's like a jacuzzi.
Yeah.
They don't realize they're going to turn up the heat. Once they turn up the heat to the boiling point, you're not going to be able to get out.
We're done. We're done.
You're going to be served. You're going to be served. Yeah.
We're here to serve humanity,
That's your
right?
point. I'm going to let you be. But I got to get a hold of you so we can actually talk this out and figure out some things,
I don't know if there is, like I said, if anybody comes into a position where they can galvanize and motivate the people to get involved, they would be, shall we say, neutralized. That's a nice way of putting it. So
I know.
I don't know.
I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, we need to have a general strike is what we need. All right. Well, there comes the music. It's time. All right, Carolyn. Well, thank you so much. You take care. Okay, bye-bye. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's Tuesday installment of the WTF Reports. If you're listening on BitChute or Rumble or YouTube or Facebook or whatever, you know what to do. Click like, share, subscribe, and make a comment. And above all else, spread the word. Word of mouth is the best advertising. And speaking of advertising, do some business with our sponsors. And if you don't need one of the things that we offer, then, hey, we can always use a GoFundMe donation if you'd like to do that. And I thank you those who have made donations. All right, that said, that's going to wrap it up. So God bless you all. Stay safe. Stay free. And God willing, I will see you tomorrow.